How's it going, everyone? Caleb here. Today we'll be going over the Dead by Daylight live stream number 120. This goes over the Demise of the Fateful trailer, and this also tells us a little bit more about the killer, the map, and the survivor, along with their perks. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay, so where does she come from?
Okay, so we spoiled it a couple of streams back. We wanted to go, far in the past with this chapter. We wanted to establish that the entity can take killers and survivors from any time period or world, really. The High Priestess Adiris, so the plague, is from Babylonian time. So far BC even. I won't establish exactly where it is. I'm not sure.
Let's just stop for a second. They say that she is from the Babylonian era, which is roughly 600 to 540 BC. There'll be a timeline up in a few seconds. And to think that the entity is that powerful that he can just pull killers from wherever, survivors from wherever, that just brings a whole new light onto the lore and how strong the entity is as a person, or entity itself, not just us thinking that, oh, he can pull survivors from maybe 10, 20 years. No, he's pulling them from thousands of years in the past now.
So Adiris' story is one of our tragic killer. So when she was very young, she was abandoned to a temple where she served. So cleaning, serving food to the priests and the priestess. And with time, she grew in the devotion of these gods. Like her faith was building. Later in her life, when the plague appeared in the city, and there was even the priests there contracted the plague and died of it, she took the role of high priestess to support the entire city. And of course, as this symbol, the entire city, the townsfolk, really went with her, and a strong devotion, as a savior, basically, to the entire city. So the important part of her demise of the faithful, is that she believes so strongly in her gods that it's going to be her demise. So as anybody else, she will contract the disease, the plague, and eventually she and a following go into, travel to get away from the city, and they eventually all die of the plague. And her last moment is a prayer, so she asks her gods to help her, and the entity is going to be the one that answers her.
So we always said we were not going to do any religious killers. So where is the plague place in that,
Yeah, I mean, personally, I always wanted to do something religious. I think it's a strong theme in horror, but like the idea of this killer was to be smart with it, and we went more with mythology than actual religion.
Not a specific religion.
Okay, so as you just heard, her story is actually very tragic. She was left in a temple. Her parents didn't want her, and so she struggles, and she goes and she practices faith. This ultimately ends up being her demise, which, if you think about it, is kind of sad. She just wanted to be faithful. She believed in something, and she didn't want to stop. She led them, and this is ultimately what got her killed. It's the plague, because she was like a normal human. She wasn't taken over by the entity yet. The entity pulls her here in our time from hers, where she isn't a killer yet. She just wants to practice her religion, but ultimately she dies because of that.
So a lot of people are talking about her weapon. Do you want to talk a little bit about what is it?
So the incense burner is our weapon. It was quite challenging to build, actually. So we wanted something ritualistic, something truly unique, and something that has this mystical aspect to it. So the incense burner is a perfect fit for all of this.
As you just heard, her weapon is the incense burner. There's nothing special about this, it's just an M1 weapon. but it did take them some time to make, and I think we should appreciate the devs for what they do when they decide to actually do something. I'm not trying to put the devs down. I think they do a good job with their game. There are a lot of bugs I need to fix, but I think we should give them credit for what they really do, try and do, and what they can accomplish in this game when they want to. Also, for those who are curious, here's what her melee actually looks like. Nothing special really, but here it is anyway. I'm not going to spoil it for you. This is a short clip, yes, but unfortunately this is all I could find at the moment. Whenever it comes out on PTV, I might make a follow-up video to this, letting you know what it looks like, how it plays in game, and maybe a gameplay from me. I'm not really sure yet how I'm going to work with this.
So the map, like many other places in the game, is a reimagining of the entity of a temple in which Adiris was doing her rituals. So it is now located in Red Forest. So it's it's the two teams have been mixed together. So the entity is basically rebuilding a place of devotion where so it's taken straight out of the memories of the plague. So it's a really cool map. The main building, the temple, is gorgeous. So this is the interior, one of the level that we see right now. There's multiple level. There's a crypt underneath the temple. Of course, there's a gen there.
We're actually just going to pause for a moment and take a look at this. The devs are actually now working on multi-layered maps. Now, I know we have some that are 2 stories tall, but we've never had any with like an actual basement. Of course, the game, you can't really say that because that's like it's a 2-story map. The top layer is the 2nd story, the bottom layer is the 1st. This is, however, like you're in the basement. The basement is at the same level as this part of the map.
The lockers really fit.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the onion.
Oh,
so we had a teaser early on, and a lot of people made jokes about the onion. So do you want to just tell us what it is?
Yeah, the onion is an incense burner.
Okay.
So you'll see that just like the one she has as a weapon, there's an incense burner all over the map. So basically, she used incense to camouflage the pestilence that comes with the plague.
So is there anything that is special to this map? For example, in the game, when you start a generator, doors are going to open. So is there anything close to that in this map as well?
Yeah, the temple has some entryways that will basically open once the generator in the crypt is repaired, drastically changing the layout of the map and how it's played. The building itself has a very interesting layout, so this is going to be interesting to see how players strategize in it and around it.
Before we move any further, let's actually look at this. This is actually one of the basement locations. Obviously, the other one's going to be in check, but we now know that this one is going to be on the bottom floor, obviously, and it's going to be in this corner right here. I'm not sure if this can rotate. Like some maps, some they're in certain spots. Some maps are weird. It's just RNG. Maybe it's like that. Maybe it's not. Maybe this is the one spot for it. We'll find out whenever it actually comes out on the PTV. I just thought this would be an interesting note for you to know whenever you actually get the map. Also, let's just take a look at this for a second. If you look down here at the bottom near the survivors, this is similar to the Legion. You can see that it has an actual effect on them. It's to show that they are infected or sick with the vial or the power of plague.
Yeah, are we done with the map? I just don't.
I think so. Yeah,
Okay,
we're done with the story
awesome.
of the map.
Okay, so let's get into it with the killer power.
That's right.
What really everybody wants to know.
Yeah.
This other stuff is cool too, but yeah, you're right. Okay, so the killer power is called the Vile Purge, and I think we saw a quick glimpse of it earlier, but there it is. So this killer vomits.
It's killer vomit.
This is the vomit killer.
There you go.
Dwight seems to not have a good time either.
No one's having a good time about this. So this power has a few parts. There's the vomit itself, which creates sickness in the survivors. As they get vomited on, or once they become infected by the vomit, sickness grows depending on what you do. Running, exerting yourself, doing interactions will make you sicker and sicker until you become, I don't know what the current word for it is, fully sick, which really weakens the survivor. There's, as you can see, objects that get infected by the vomit, so you can actually run around and vomit on all kinds of stuff, and that will sicken survivors who interact with it. And once they're sick, survivors have only one way to cure themselves, which is by using the pool of devotion, which you can see right there.
Which we'll refer from now on as fountains.
Fountains, yeah. Don't call them magic fountains. These are the pools of devotion, or fountains. The fountains are really interesting because they also heal survivors when they use them. And so you wonder, well, that seems like it's pretty easy for survivors to deal with. You get sick, you use a fountain. But there's another aspect to the pool of devotion, which is that the killer can use a fountain that has been corrupted by survivors to gain her own power and to gain the corrupt purge, which I'm not sure if we have the footage of. But the corrupt purge damages survivors who are touched by it. So it really changes the dynamic of what you'll use the vomit power for.
It's really interesting. There's this choice as a survivor to, well, first of all, spread the sickness. So that's not really a choice. It's something that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So the choice of using the fountain to heal, but also being able to give that ultimate power to the killer,
Right.
or living with the sickness, which is not good at all.
Which is difficult.
Yes.
Yeah, the vomit was an interesting technical challenge. As you can see, it looks pretty awesome here, and I guess I'm just tooting my own horn because I was the one who was working on the vomit mostly. But you'll find it's actually really fun to play with and to throw these streams of vomit across the map and to infect generators and pallets and survivors and watch their hilarious reactions.
Alright, so let's take note of what he said. You can actually, this is like area of effect in a way. You spit this out whenever you're playing the plague, and it affects survivors, and you can also infect pallets, generators, and the fountain. This is really cool, and it makes you think about what you want to do and how you're going to use things, rather than just going for the objective and then wanting them the entire time.
So with the killer and its power, there's also perks coming with it.
Dark
Perks.
devotion.
All right. Okay, so the first perk of the plague is Dark Devotion. Do you want me to read it out, or do we have it here?
Well, we see the footage, right? You can describe it. You can read it. Go ahead.
All right, I'm just going to go ahead and read it. The display of your powers creates a whirlwind of panic that spreads throughout the land. You become obsessed with one survivor. Hitting the obsession with your basic attack causes the obsession to emit a 32-meter terror radius for a few seconds. During that time, your terror radius is reduced to 0. The effect can only be triggered with a cooldown.
Let's take a look at where this perk can be good. On one hand, when you get a Survive with Friends group, you gotta think of it. Will this perk be useful? Probably not. Most Survive with Friends groups use comms, such as Discord, Skype, etc. Obviously, most being Discord. But most of them, if they're good, will call out if they're the obsession. And you can use a little bit of common sense, figure out if this person actually has Dark Devotion. If they do, you know to be wary of it whenever the person gets hit, and make sure that you use comms to let each other know where you are at a certain amount of time. This can also be used to improve survivors' gameplay in general and make them more aware of what's going on around them. So in a way, this perk is good for survivor and for killer. Obviously for killer being at lower ranks with non-Survive with Friends groups or Survive with Friends that don't use comms.
The second perk is Infectious Fright. The cries of the unfaithful make your heart leap. Any survivors that are within the killer's terror radius, while another survivor is put into the dying state by basic attack, will yell and reveal their current location to the killer for a few seconds.
Obviously, this being another detection perk similar to Chili, except this is actually in your terror radius. Chili obviously counteracting people that are far away. This one gives your position away by screaming while you're actually in the killer's terror radius. Some people use Urban Evasion. This can actually counteract that if you want to go for a save, especially if you're just hiding behind a tree or something next to a new killer. And some new killers don't like to check behind trees. Some just go straight for gens. And this actually can help newer killers learn to check in certain spots that they normally wouldn't. Also helping them improve to get to rank 1.
And the final plague perk is Corrupt Intervention. The 3 generators located furthest from you are blocked by the entity for a few seconds at the start of the trial. Survivors cannot repair the generators for the duration. Essentially, this makes it so that at the beginning of the game, there are less generators to patrol, to increase the chances that you're going to find somebody and initiate a chance early in the game.
Plus, either the survivor waits for the entity to come out of the generator, or has to go closer to where the killer is.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting.
Okay, another perk that's not really good at rank 1. Most survivors at rank 1 typically don't go for the closest generator. The killer is more likely to go to one that's further away because that's where the survivors have a greater chance of spawning. Typically, a survivor will not spawn next to a killer unless RNG just hates you. This also isn't good, just in general. You're better off running Ruin, something that can slow down the game for a lot longer rather than just maybe 10-20 seconds. Even if this is a minute, that's still not that good. Ruin is a lot better off. All you have to do is know how to patrol without obviously camping your totem. Just patrol it. Make sure that's safe while at the same time keeping an eye on gens. It'll keep your game up a lot longer than this perk. Obviously, I'm not a fan of it, but it just depends on you. I personally will not be using this perk except for the Adept, and then it's going in the trash for me.
Oh, this is the reveal.
Yes.
There
this
she
is
is.
the reveal.
Aha.
There she is. All right. So what's Jane's story?
Okay, very quickly. So Jane is, I'm going to say it. She's our Oprah character. So basically, she is a woman that fights all her life to create a TV show. You know, she's a host, and she wanted that all her life. She doesn't necessarily have the support to do it, but she fights for it, and she becomes really popular and famous doing this TV show, hosting shows for to talk about all sort of different subjects. So she's quite known in our universe as this host. She works for that really hard, and she still have a troubled story, and it's really stressful to live her life. And one night she does an interview that turns out catastrophic, and again this will be her demise. So that night she goes out of the studio, and with the tiredness that she feels, the catastrophic interviews and everything else, she will, I'm losing my words, she will fall asleep in her car and crash in the river and then disappear. So obviously it's at that point that the entity took her.
Okay, so as you just heard, that is Jane's backstory. What caused her to be taken out, obviously, was the car crash, and the entity swooped down and got her. Now let's take a look at her perks, her first one being Solidarity.
Right. Jane's first perk is Solidarity. Sharing painful experiences has the power to heal. While injured, healing a survivor also heals you at a certain conversion rate.
Yeah,
That
I was
means
gonna scream right away.
not 100%.
What? Yeah.
Not 100%.
Okay.
Not
I'll let the cat out of the bag
100%.
here. What we have right now is 50%. So when you heal somebody, you also get 50% of that healing back on yourself.
Okay, 50% healing back whenever you heal someone. That's not bad. I don't know if I'll be using this perk personally, but for the people that do use it, that's going to be good. It might actually come out to be something similar to self-care with an alternate to that. Maybe. I don't know. But I know for a fact that if you bring in a med kit with this, that's going to help you out a lot. You'll have a lot more charges on your med kit. So if you're in a crutch situation, you can use the med kit without self-care because you have Solidarity to heal yourself with. So I don't know if I'll be using this perk personally. Maybe a few times. I don't know. I'll test it out. Tell you how I like it. But this is going to be good for those players that don't like to bring self-care, but they don't have they don't know what to bring for their fourth perk slot.
The second perk for Jane Romero is Poised. Achieving goals boosts your confidence. After a generator is completed, you leave no scratch marks for 10 seconds. I guess that's good for people who like to do their gen and scoot away.
Yeah.
Alright, so now let's take a look at Poised. Poised is good for those who like to do generators and generators only. If you're like me, typically you're getting chased, so this perk doesn't really help me out. Obviously I do generators, but I don't try and hide. So this is similar to Dance With Me, in my opinion. I never run that. I don't see it being ran by anyone that I play with. I don't know. A lot of people use it, but a lot of people won't. I mean, obviously this is a personal preference. But tell me what you guys think. Are you going to be using these perks? Or are you not? I'm personally not excited for Poised. Solidarity, maybe. The next perk, though, I have some questions for.
And the last perk for Jane is
Wait for it. Oh.
Head On. When your mind is set, there better be no one standing in your way. After standing in a locker for 3 seconds, the perk activates. While the perk is activated, perform a rush action to leave a locker to stun the killer for 3 seconds if they are standing within range. And that causes the exhausted status effect, and it cannot be used while exhausted.
Okay, so this next perk is called Heads Up. This is also an exhaustion perk. Now, you run out of a locker. If the killer's in range, you will stun them. Now, my question is, if the killer gets beside a locker and you're in it while they have someone on their shoulder, will it drop? Obviously, with normal pallets, obviously, they get stunned and it drops them. Maybe it'll be the same with this. I don't know. Maybe people can get cool clips out of this. I hope to be one of those, by the way. I don't know. This brings up some questions. I hope to find this out on the PTB. I will be playing it the day that it comes out. I will also let you know when that is momentarily.
So PTB will release sometime this week. Yay! So in the meantime, you guys are going to be able to test everything that we just showed you on the PTB, as well as the new DS changes and something about totems as well. That's included in the patch.
Okay, so this week the PTB is going to be coming out. As soon as it is, I'm downloading it and I'm hopping on it. I promise to get a video out to you within the first 3 days of the PTB coming out. Obviously, I'm going to have to get some clips, and I want to get a picture of the or not a picture, but I want to get a video of the Mori, and I'll bring you a few other things with it. I'll give you my opinion on the perks whenever I use them, and I will also show you around the map, show you the different things and RNG with it, just so you'll get accustomed to it before you play it, or if you just want to know. On that note, I'm going to end the video here. I hope to see you all in the next one. It's probably going to be a special project that I'm working on. Haven't done this in a while, and so I'm really excited for it. And I hope that it comes out better than the others, and I hope I get a better response from you guys. Let me know what you actually think this time. Obviously, it'll be posted in my Discord. Prevail Discord's also going to be in the description. We're looking for team members. So if you're interested in that, please use the link that's provided in the information tab in the Discord, and we can schedule a trial for you. If you think you have what it takes, be sure to sign up. Also, it's good to have you guys in the Discord. I want you guys to have an active community in there. If you need anything, feel free to message me or Bella/Lau, whichever one you want to call her. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.